Welcome to the Burnham Brief, where the news is always interesting and everyone makes it out alive. I'm Danny Burnham, bringing you fascinating news stories from around the world, minus all the doom and gloom. In this episode, we've got Karol Nawrocki winning a closely watched vote in Poland's presidential election. The Treasury Department is tossing the penny. NASA and the Smithsonian develop an early volcano warning system using trees. And in sports, Davy Todd and Michael Dunlop shine amid disruptions at the 2025 Isle of Man Tourist Trophy. Starting in Poland, there was a major political development over the last week as Poland held its presidential runoff election, resulting in the victory of nationalist opposition candidate Karol Nawrocki. He secured 50.89% of the vote, narrowly defeating Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski. It's all right. My mother was a Polish person before she was married. She's still Polish, but she doesn't have a Polish name anymore, so I'm down. Anyway, Trzaskowski received 49.11%. The election was peaceful with a high record turnout of 71.31%, and there were no reports of violence, which is the only reason we're reading it on this show. Nawrocki was a 42-year-old historian and former head of National Remembrance Institute, campaigned on policies favoring Polish citizens, and is expected to use his presidential veto power to challenge the pro-European government's reform agenda. The result is seen as a setback for Prime Minister Donald Tusk's administration and was closely watched by international observers, including those in the EU, Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. The election process was marked by active civic participation and robust debate, but unfolded without unrest or violence. I almost said my mom's maiden name, but that's so many people's passwords and they're like questions. So I'm not giving you that, America. You can't have my Facebook passwords by safety questions. The United States is getting rid of the penny. The Treasury Department has announced that it will stop producing new pennies, with the final batch of penny blanks ordered in May of 2025 and production set to cease once those run out, likely by early 2026. This decision follows years of debate over the cost of making the 1 cent coin, which reached 3.69 cents per penny in 2024, far exceeding its face value. Donald Trump directed the Treasury to end penny production earlier this year, calling the ongoing expense wasteful. The move is expected to save government about $56 million annually in material costs. And by the government, it means us. It's saving us $56 million. Pennies will remain legal tender and in circulation, but as new coins are no longer being produced, businesses will begin rounding cash transactions to the nearest 5 cents. Hopefully they're rounding down. The elimination of the penny has a bipartisan support in Congress, with separate bills introduced in both chambers to formalize the end of production. There are currently 114 billion pennies in circulation in the United States, but their use has declined sharply in recent years. The Treasury's plan does not immediately remove pennies from use, but over time, as they're lost or worn out, they'll gradually disappear from daily commerce. Abraham Lincoln was not available for comment. In science and tech news, now, recent scientific development, researchers from NASA and the Smithsonian have discovered that trees near volcanoes can serve as early warning indicators of volcanic activity. The team found that carbon dioxide released from rising magma makes surrounding vegetation greener, a subtle change now detectable from space using satellite imagery. This breakthrough allows scientists to monitor volcanic unrest and potentially warn communities before an eruption occurs, offering a non-invasive and peaceful method to save lives and property. The research is being hailed as a powerful new tool for disaster prevention, and no violence or harm is associated with this specific advance. So once these trees and vegetation start turning greener, it's the rest of your job to warn those of us who are colorblind, because we'll never see it coming either way. In sports news, the 2025 Isle of Man Tourist Trophy kicked off this weekend under challenging conditions, with weather delays and oil spills forcing organizers to reschedule and shorten the opening races. Despite the setbacks, the racing action did not disappoint. Davy Todd emerged as the star of the day, claiming victory in the 4-lap Superbike TT race. from Monster Energy by 810 Racing BMW. Todd led from start to finish, holding off a determined late charge from Michael Dunlop, who finished just 1.2 seconds behind on his MD Racing BMW. Dean Harrison rounded out the podium for Honda Racing UK. In the Supersport TT Race 1, Michael Dunlop made history, securing his 30th career TT win, this time on a Ducati, marking the Italian manufacturer's first TT victory in 30 years. Dunlop overcame an early deficit to overtake Dean Harrison after the pit stop, eventually winning by over 10 seconds. James Hillier returned to the TT podium for the first time since 2019, finishing third. The event continues throughout the week with more races scheduled in Super Stock, Super Twin, Sidecar classes, and culminating with the prestigious Super Senior TT on Saturday. In case you're following that and have no idea what we're talking about, it's a huge motorcycle race over in Europe. They've been running it for 170 years. You should look into it. It's completely unhinged, especially the sidecar races. But that's what we've got for this episode of the Burnham Brief. Thank you for watching. God bless. See you next time.